Okay, so let's get into this. I think, we're all trying to be a bit more proactive about our well-being,
Hmm.
but there's just so much advice on mental health out there. It's overwhelming. You don't even know where to begin.
Information paralysis, yeah. It's a real thing, especially when you're already feeling like you need a solution that, works now.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we've pulled together some sources that are all about practical, immediate strategies. We're really tackling this idea that your mental health is just as important as your physical health.
As it should be.
Right. And our mission today is pretty simple. We're going to cut through all the noise and give you a clear shortcut to feeling mentally strong based on 5 daily habits that are high impact but crucially low effort.
And the materials are brilliant for that because they really just distill all this research down into simple, actionable steps, a clear guide.
So we're going to unpack these 5 paths.
Yeah, and we'll focus not just on what to do, but, the why behind it.
Yeah.
Why these small changes can actually make such a big difference to how you feel every day.
I like that. The why is key. Okay, so let's jump into the first path. This one is all about our external world, our environment. And the first tip is, well, it's almost embarrassingly simple.
It usually is.
Spend time outside.
It's often the simplest things that are the most powerful.
Yeah.
This connection to nature. I mean, it's profound. We kind of dismiss it as common sense, but the biological impact is very real.
And the sources really nail how accessible this is. We're not talking about, climbing a mountain here.
No, not at all.
It's about stepping into a park or just sitting under a tree on your lunch break, even just pausing to listen to the birds.
It's a sensory reset. You get a change in the air, the sounds, the light, and that all signals to your nervous system that it's okay to sort of stand down from that high alert state we're always in.
And here's the part I found really useful, the specific number. They say that even 20 minutes outside can measurably improve your mood.
20 minutes. That's key.
Yeah.
It just demolishes the I don't have time excuse.
Yeah.
It's efficient. It's a proven stress reduction hack.
Okay, but let's make this real for a second. What if you live in a city, a total concrete jungle, and finding a big green park is, well, it's a challenge? Do the sources have a hack for that?
They do, and that's a great question. The core idea is about getting a change in sensory input and some natural light. It doesn't have to be, pristine forest.
So what counts?
Well, research shows that even just looking at pictures of nature or having plants inside helps. But ideally, it's about proximity. A view from a window, a small community garden, even sitting on a porch. It's the break from the screen and the concrete that really matters.
That makes it so much more doable. So if the environment gets us out of our physical isolation, the sources also talk about breaking our social isolation, which brings us to tip 2.
Talk to someone.
Yeah, talk to someone.
The foundation of connection. It's the oldest advice in the book, but we struggle with it, right? Because it takes energy to be vulnerable when you're feeling low.
And the core message in the source material is so direct, do not keep your feelings inside. It says talk to a friend, a family member, even a neighbor. The point is the action itself.
But here's what's so fascinating, and this is what makes it more than just, an emotional release.
Yeah.
It's the cognitive benefit.
Okay.
Yes, talking makes you feel less alone, which is huge. But the real aha moment in the sources is that saying your thoughts out loud, it can actually give you new ideas to solve your problems.
Let's stay on that for a second because that's the real deep dive moment. It's not just venting, it's problem solving.
Right.
How does that work? Why does saying something out loud make it clearer?
Well, think about when a problem's just stuck in your head. It's all tangled up with emotion, the fear, the anxiety. That's all happening in the limbic system, your brain's emotional center.
Okay.
The moment you have to actually speak it out loud to another person, you're forcing your brain to translate those messy feelings into structured, logical language.
So you're firing up the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain.
Exactly that. You're forcing a cognitive translation. And then when the other person responds, even if they don't have advice, they just offer a different perspective. They might ask one simple question you hadn't thought of.
Because you were too close to it.
You were too close to the emotion.
Yeah.
That external processing is just invaluable.
So connecting the dots here. Going outside gets you out of your head physically, and talking to someone gets you out of your head cognitively.
A perfect link. They both pull you out of the kind of isolation where those negative spirals can really start. And that leads us right into our next section, which is about a different kind of release.
The mind-body connection.
Yep. Let's dive into tip 3. Move your body.
This link between physical movement and mental well-being is maybe the most researched one out there, but it's also the one people dread. We hear movement and we think pain.
Strenuous exercise, yeah. And that's where the source material is so helpful
Hmm.
because it just aggressively lowers that barrier. It basically shouts, you do not need to run a marathon.
Which is such a relief.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the key is just not being sedentary.
It's about consistency, not intensity.
Precisely. We're talking about the minimum effective dose.
Mm.
The sources give these great relatable examples like dance in your kitchen, do a 5-minute stretch, ride a bike.
It's movement as a tool, not as a punishment.
Exactly.
So let's zoom in on the why again. What is actually happening in the brain and body?
It's basically a 1-2 punch. First, you have the physiological release. When you're stressed, your body's flooded with cortisol, adrenaline.
Right.
It's in fight or flight mode.
Right.
Movement helps your body literally clear out that excess cortisol. It's a physical release of tension.
So you're cleaning out the stress hormones. What's the second part?
The second part is the proactive boost. Movement releases feel-good neurotransmitters. We're talking endorphins, serotonin, dopamine,
Good stuff.
the good stuff. They act as natural mood elevators. It's your body's own internal pharmacy, and it not only reduces stress, but actively makes you feel happier.
So we should really reframe movement as emotional energy management.
That's a perfect way to put it. You move to manage your mind. But after all that exertion, we have to talk about recovery.
Which brings us to tip 4.
All about deep recovery and rest. Get enough sleep.
And here we're shifting from actively doing something, going out, talking, moving, to intentionally doing nothing, letting the system reset.
And if we don't, we just burn out. It's that simple. Sleep is not a luxury. It's non-negotiable mental maintenance.
We all know it's important, but what is the brain actually doing while we're asleep?
It's incredibly active. It's sorting through memories from the day, but maybe the most important job is cleaning. The brain's glymphatic system literally flushes out metabolic waste that builds up when you're awake.
So without enough sleep, your brain is just running on a slow, toxic buildup.
That's a good way to think about it. The stakes are high.
So what's the goal here? The sources must give us a target.
They do. A very clear, evidence-based target.
Mm-hmm.
Try to sleep 7 to 9 hours each night.
7 to 9. That's a clear metric to aim for.
But it's not just about the hours. It's about the quality of those hours. And for that, you need rituals.
Right. And the sources point to 2 main ones. First, going to bed at the same time every day. Consistency.
It trains your body's internal clock.
Hmm.
And the second one is huge in our modern world. Avoiding screens before bed.
Ah, the blue light problem.
It's a huge problem. That blue light actively suppresses melatonin, which is the hormone that tells your brain it's time to sleep. So you're fighting your own biology when you scroll in bed.
So protecting your sleep is maybe the most fundamental act of daily mental health care.
Absolutely. It sets the baseline. If you're sleep deprived, all these other tools, nature, connection, movement, they're just not as effective.
Okay, that's 4 down. Environment, connection, movement, and rest. Now for the 5th and final path. This one is about making an intentional investment in your emotional well-being.
Tip 5. Do something you enjoy.
This is the one about injecting active, dedicated joy back into your life, making time for hobbies.
Mm-hmm. And the sources list such a great range of things. Read a book, draw, cook, play music.
The common thread seems to be that they are self-directed activities. You're in charge.
You are. And the cognitive benefit here is that they help us get into what psychologists call a state of flow.
Flow, that's when you're so absorbed in something you lose track of time, right?
Exactly. The self-critical voice in your head goes quiet.
And it's important to distinguish this from, say, just binge-watching TV.
That's passive relaxation.
Right. That's consumption. Flow state requires active engagement. It's a constructive, focused kind of rest for your brain. It's like a mental vacation.
The outcome is so simple. Doing things you love helps you relax and brings joy. But, for a lot of people, making time for joy can feel unproductive or even selfish. And that's the barrier to break down. This isn't unproductive. It's essential maintenance. If your whole life is just stuff you have to do, your mental energy will just run dry. Scheduled joy is how you refill the tank.
That's a powerful framework. So these 5 tips, nature, connection, movement, rest, and joy. The big idea is that small, consistent changes make a huge difference.
They do. And the final piece of advice from the sources kind of wraps it all up. Be kind to yourself and take care of your mind every day. It makes mental health a daily practice, not some giant, scary goal.
It really does reframe it. Okay, so let's do a quick recap for everyone listening. The 5 simple paths.
We started with tip 1, connect with nature. Get outside, even if it's just for 20 minutes.
Then tip 2, connection. Talk to someone, not just to vent, but to get a new perspective.
Tip 3 was movement. Move your body in a way you enjoy, dance, stretch, whatever, to clear out stress and boost your mood.
Tip 4, rest. Prioritize those 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Create those screen-free rituals before bed.
And finally, tip 5, joy. Make dedicated time for a hobby you love, something that lets you get into that state of flow.
What really stands out is that none of these things are massive life overhauls. You could start any of them, or all of them, today.
Which leads to a final thought for you to take away. If mental health is, like the sources say, just as important as physical health.
Then we need to treat recovery the same way.
Exactly. We track our workouts, our steps, our calories. But how much time are you specifically dedicating to letting your mind recover?
You mean quantifying it, not just crashing on the couch because you're exhausted, but active recovery.
Active recovery through dedicated sleep and dedicated joy. Is it 20 minutes for nature, 30 minutes for a hobby?
Yeah.
Making that investment conscious and maybe even quantifiable, that's the final step to turning these tips into a real lifelong practice.
That is a great question to take forward. Thank you for sharing your sources and letting us do this deep dive into taking care of our minds one small step at a time.